Good morning. More lore. Nori, Bante, Sarah, welcome in. Good morning. How are you? Hello, Babel. Welcome in. How are you? Just wanted to say hi. Well, thank you for stopping by. Have a wonderful time on vacation. Enjoy. Good. How are you? I'm good. I'm tired. Work has been really crazy, so I'm really exhausted, but I'm glad it's the weekend. I have not I have not had any coffee yet today. I'll be making some coffee after stream. I'm not gonna make it right now. Alrighty. Let's see. I actually just keep this between us, okay? This is a secret. Don't tell anybody. I don't know what I'm gonna work on today. I like to have a sketch of some kind prepared before stream because it takes me a fair bit of sketching to get something that I actually like. I didn't do that. I don't have anything prepared. So I don't really know what I'm going to work on today. We'll see what happens. I have the map up, so like I can show you the map and we can look at it, but it's not something I would actively draw on because the map that you can see in the thumbnail, and I'll go to that canvas in a second, but the map that is on the thumbnail is a world map, and it is not even the full world, and it is at much too large of a scale for it to really be valuable in the context of immolation. It's for my own reference and for my own benefit, really. We don't Immolation is deliberately a story that is kept at a smaller scale, on a smaller geographical scale. I already said that was a deliberate choice, but what can I say? I have not had coffee yet. I am tired. I used up all of my word skills at work this week. My goodness, it's just been. It's not part of my job description that I have to explain to people how to speak coherently, but that has become part of my job. And it is what it is. But all right, let's see here. So I had a couple of ideas. I don't know that I would want to sketch them because I'm not going to be happy with them. I try to get a sketch to the point that I am happy with it before stream starts. So at least I have something to work with. But it takes me a long time to get a sketch to that point. Let's see here. There we go. So now you can see the map. At least you got something to look at. And no, this little checkerboard pattern here is not because it is slightly transparent. That's not what that is. That is, again, this map is for my own benefit. And these continents, let me get a little visual aid here. So these two continents here. The reason that this checkerboard pattern is here is because these are two distinct countries. So like country 1, country 2. but they're not allies in the sense of like allied countries. They are two separate, distinct countries that form one empire, and they kind of like split that empire. So there's an overlap of control, and that's what the checkerboard is for. And again, that's just for my reference. But yes, that's what that's for. It's not that it's transparent. You may simply yap about the map. Yeah, I might just do some yapping, but I have some stuff I want to sketch. You sound so out of it. Yeah, I apologize. I am so tired. Work has just been beating me to a pulp. But it's okay. It's good. It means job stability, I think. I hope. Hi, Nori. I'm sitting on the sand looking at the sunset. That sounds very, very nice. And it is definitely 11 a.m. for me, so it's not... It is neither sunrise nor sunset here. But yes, this map doesn't show... It doesn't show a lot. I could just end the sentence there. There's a lot of information that is missing from this map, either because it's not finalized yet. Well, okay, so most of it is because it's not really finalized yet. There are different layers to the ocean here, because this is not a map that is intended to follow real world laws of like physics and geology and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. You can't. Well, you can barely see it. I have not made the colors. I say colors. The values here very easy to visually distinguish. Could you please tell me if these countries are meant to look like angry monsters or it's simply my imagination? They're not meant to look like monsters. I think Trickster said that this continent over here... Let me see. Let me get a little pen. Said that this continent over here kind of looked like a question mark. Which, I see it now, that Trickster said that, but that wasn't intentional. I think the only continent that really has a shape that I've done deliberately, there are a couple shapes in here that I've done deliberately, but not very many. Obviously this is one. This is like weirdly, perfectly spherical, which is weird. Even for this fictional world, it's weird. Obviously this continent up here, which this is Vizimond, this is where Cyril lives. The shape of that continent, I was specific. It's not supposed to look like anything in particular, but it's specific in the sense that it is a long, squiggly, and narrow continent. You can't really go all... I mean, again, this is not at a scale that is easy to understand, but Windermere is like right here, okay? And Windermere is in a valley. So there's like a little valley in here. And again, this is not remotely to scale. So when you travel through this province, you're mostly traveling north and south. You really can't go very far east and west. So when Cyril and Sybil are coming back from Parvin in Volume 1, Parvin is like, I don't know exactly where. I'd have to make this whole province, I'd have to make it bigger. Parvin is like somewhere down here. It's pretty far south. There's Melly, which is like, Melly, I don't know, Melly's probably like right about there. Windermere is up here. There's Bishop's Bride, which is like up here. And then there is it's not like a settlement. There is this is gonna make it sound weird. There's a facility, shall we say. There's a facility that is up north. That you're gonna find out more about in Volume 2. That's a loose layout. Bishop's Bride might be a little bit further north. I haven't really decided. But Bishop's Bride is up north in general. It probably is like a little bit further north. Maybe it's like more like right there. I don't know, something like that. Bishop's Bride is not on the coast. But this settlement TM. Again, it's not a settlement. It's not like a village. Don't think of it that way. Anyway, the facility that is like right on the coast. Bishop's Bride is not. There are a bunch of mountains kind of surrounding. There are mountains like all over, like this whole northern bit. Windermere is not on the coast. However, the river, there's the two rivers, and again, this is not remotely to scale, but there's the two rivers. So one river is the Rotherdaire. That one actually comes down all the way from Bishop's Bride. It originates at Bishop's Bride. It goes all the way down, and that's not the path that it takes. It's just for visual aids. It's not accurate. It comes all the way down to Windermere, and then the other river, which is the Lucifil, comes over from the east. There's like mountains and stuff over here. Again, it's not to scale. It's not to scale. And then they meet in Windermere, and then they go all the way, and they take like a little squiggly path, and they go all the way out, and then you get into the ocean over here, and then you have to get all the way out past the land, and then yay, now you can like go somewhere. Hi, where's the prison? Hello, Victoria. So the prison is in Bishop's Bride. So, come on, there we go. So the prison is up here. The prison is where Bishop's Bride, like the city of Bishop's Bride, used to be. It's on that land. That city is long gone, but everybody still calls it Bishop's Bride. But yes, that's where the prison is. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to write with a tablet. That's a terrible arrow. There we go. Let's see. So, and to give you a sense of scale, and this is a little bit, what's the word? There's some nuance here, shall we say. But to give you a sense of just how zoomed out this map is, because this map is trying to include a bunch of world stuff that a fair amount of it does not impact, most of it does not impact the story of Immolation really at all. But to give you a little bit of an idea of how out of scale this map is, this map is so zoomed out that you would not be able to see rivers from this, right? So when we see like these inland water bodies, these are like inland oceans. These are huge bodies of water. And to give you an idea of that, we have Windermere, right? I'm just gonna put a W. That's Windermere, kind of right smack dab in the middle. And the Rotherdaire flows all the way down again. That's not the route that it takes. It's not accurate. And then once it connects with the Lucifil in Windermere, that river conjoins and goes east. And it, takes like a little meandering path, because that's what rivers do. This path right here, to get out of Windermere and to get out into the ocean, by ship, that path, that river, that distance takes 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks, to get out. And yes, You're working against the wind because the wind, well, I've already got a W, so okay, we'll do wind. The wind in this area blows west. So you're working against the wind when you're trying to get out of Windermere, but you are working with the current because the Rotherdaire current goes down and then out. So the current is pushing you out, but the wind is pushing you back. So it takes 2 weeks by ship to get out of Windermere and out to the ocean. And that is considered good. That's like a good time. That's why Windermere is a trade city, because it's relatively easy to access, because 2 weeks is a pretty decent time to get in and out. And this is also, you can see how, okay, hold on. Well, okay, we'll just hide it for now. You can see how the land goes in here. Like there's this little bit that goes in. Pretty much all of the shore, quote unquote, you can't see me, I'm making little air quotes. All of the shorelines on this province, Vizimund, are cliffs. You can't just sail up to Vizimund in your little boat and hop off and go on like a beach and like walk up into like onto the land, because these are pretty much all sheer cliffs. You cannot get up. The only place you can is if you take the only river that drains to the sea, which in this case is the Rotherdaire. There are other rivers that technically drain to the sea, but they get to the edge of the cliffs and then they're waterfalls, so they just fall off. So the Rotherdaire is the only river that actually connects to the sea at like its own level. So it's the only way in and out, more or less. It's making my wheels turn. This is so fun. The world is enormous. Yes, the world is enormous. This is only one part of it. Sarah, I would have to open the DM again to see. It's your fanfic. You can kind of do whatever you want. I texted you instead of my friend yesterday, and I only realized I'm so sorry. No, that's all right. That's all right. All right, so let's see. So we have, again, as I said, it's very zoomed out, but to give you an idea, and some of this is still under development, so it might change. Again, this map is largely for my reference, so I can kind of keep myself grounded, no pun intended. But for example, we have whoops, that's not how you spell that. There we go. That was an awful arrow, but whatever, we're gonna leave it. So that's Windermere. That's where pretty much our entire story takes place. It's going to expand to include more, because obviously we're going up to Bishop's Bride, which is where the prison is, and we're going up to the facility that's on the north coast, and not included on this map. Actually, no, we do go south too, so there's Melly that's down here. Melly's closer to Windermere. I don't know. It's probably like somewhere in there. I can't make that X. Come on, there we go. And then Parvin is much further south. We're going to go to all these places. They're named places for a reason. We are going to go there. But then, not really shown on this map, there is a landmass of some kind. We're just going to make it a circle for now. There's a landmass up here. And I don't exactly know just now, like, how far away it is from, oh my goodness, I don't know how far away it is from like the coast of Isamond. It's probably a little bit closer. I'm not really sure. I haven't really mapped out the exact distance because it doesn't matter all that much. But there's another landmass up here, and people know that it's there, but it is hidden in like a storm. It's hidden in a storm that never goes away in this area. And it's a particularly violent storm, and it'll smash up ships if they try to go into it. So you can't get in to this storm, and that means that it also makes it difficult to get your ship all the way around it. So most people come down this way if they're trying to go, you know, onward, shall we say. And ooh, come on, please don't freeze on me, Si. Okay. So yes, there is another landmass up there, and it has people. Who would have thought? It has people on it. When Vidal says, for all 5 minutes that Vidal shows up in Volume 1 to basically pat Domingo on the back and say, yep, this is your problem now, bye, and then kind of runs off and disappears. He says that the northern border requires his full attention. And he refers to the people that he's trying to deal with at the border as oafs. So he does not have a high opinion of the people at the northern border. And what he's referring to are the people from this landmass up here. And again, this is very generic. I'm not saying it's like this big landmass and that they have like a population that's way bigger than like Isamond, because they don't. It's probably a relatively small continent. I just haven't mapped it because it doesn't matter, because we don't go there. But that conflict, for lack of a better word, is what Vidal is dealing with up at the northern border, which is part of this, again, facility is a weird word to be using, but it's what I'm going to use for right now. So when Vidal runs off and leaves Windermere and all the problems there for Domingo to handle, he is going up here and he's dealing with the relationship that's going on between these people. And he says that, I don't have the book in front of me, I could grab it if I wanted to, but he says, I'm trying to remember, so it's not going to be verbatim, but he says something along the lines of he can talk them down. He can negotiate with them. And that's true, because these people up here are more interested in like Bishop's Bride and what is north of Bishop's Bride. They're not really worried about oh my gosh, that's a horrible arrow. They don't care very much about Windermere. They are unbothered. And they're more interested in what's north. And you'll get more detail on that as you read Volume 2. But yes, so that's like a hidden landmass. So it's not really mapped, but if I was actually illustrating this map in some way, I would put like clouds and stuff. Clouds and stuff. But yes. Dia, you're making me poor. I keep buying perfumes. Yeah, I shake your hand. It's the same way for me. A land protected by storms of unknown origin. So what kind of treasures could possibly be there? So sort of unknown, but we haven't really touched on that too much. I kind of hint at it in Volume 1, but not in a way that you're meant to pick up on. There are a couple of lines here and there, and when I say that, I mean there's like maybe between 3 and 5 at most in Volume 1. When Cyril is in the chapter house, and it's kind of the first time that you see the chapter house, and Cyril is saying hello to the timekeeper, which is like that big clock. And we get a little description of the timekeeper. The timekeeper is an astrological clock that is keeping track of a bunch of different things all at once. It keeps track of like the hours in the day, it keeps track of movements of stars and so on and so forth. But one of the things that is mentioned there is storms. And that is because stars and storms, again, this is a fantasy world, they don't move in the way that storms and stars do in our world. And we're going to get into more of that in Volume 2. So it was only vaguely hinted at, because Volume 1 is giving you a lot of information already, and I did not want to overwhelm people with information. So we're going to learn about that and how it works, because there's also another line, I think it's somewhere in Book 2 of Volume 1, where I know it's a scene with Erwin and Finley where like the chapter ends and it says something along the lines of, there are storms that are brought like clockwork to Windermere in this time of year. And like clockwork is basically literal. Weather is never a surprise. It is always very, very obvious what weather is going to come at a certain time. And that's because they can chart the movement of different storms and their regularity and so on based off of how stars move, because that's part of the physics of this world. I don't think that's quite the right word. But yes, so people know that the storm is there, and they know that the storm is going to continue to be there because you can track storms and how they move and what they're doing and so on based off of how stars are moving. So they know that that storm is not going anywhere, and they know why it's there. Well, why it's there is not quite the right wording, but we'll get into that. But anyway, so let's see here. We are not going to, well, we're not going to, I don't know if that's accurate. We are not going to spend any meaningful amount of time outside of Vizimund, which is this little long, skinny, squiggly province. We're not going to spend time elsewhere in any meaningful way, but to give you an idea, this down here, where we have like all of this like checkerboard overlay, it's kind of hard to tell because of the way that I've kind of got this color-coded, and by color-coded I mean I have removed all the colors from it. I have this color-coded on a separate file for myself so I can more easily see it, because I'm colorblind and it's really hard for me to see. But this whole, let's see here, if I was going to draw a line, it would be something like, I think actually, yeah, it does go like, it's somewhere like through here, give or take. Could be wrong. I think it cuts through this. Whatever, something like that. So like all of this, and all of that. So like all of this, that is controlled by one country, nation, something like that. And that's the Monasterian Empire. And again, like I said, they're not allies, because it's a little bit more convoluted than that, but like this, I think it includes this island. I think it includes this too. I don't know. I would have to check the color-coded version, so just know that this is not 100% accurate, blah, 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 disclaimers, yada, yada. But like all of this, that is the sister, that's a terrible arrow. This is the sister country, and together, these two countries make up the Monosarian Empire. So it's two separate, distinct countries. Obviously, one is bigger than the other in terms of the land mass that they control. But yes, so we can see that this entity, shall we say, the furthest north you can go in their controlled territory is Vizimond, which is where Windermere is. And without getting too much into the weeds of it, because this doesn't come into play. I mean, no, it doesn't come into play. There are mentions of it, but it's not... We don't get involved in it. This country over here, these land masses, so like this right here, and you can see it kind of cuts through like right here. So like all of this, I think he controls these two, and I think this is controlled as well. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, so this is a different empire. Yeah, probably empire, because they started off only on this continent, and they've since expanded outward. But this kingdom, empire, whatever you want to call them, is at war with this country, and basically kind of wants to take over the world, more or less, for very specific reasons that we're not going to get into. And therefore, this entity has expanded as far north as they possibly can to create like a wall that this country can't punch through. They'd have to go like all the way around. That's kind of their defensive strategy against this guy, this dude. Because he's very particular about what countries and what land masses he attacks. But yes, so these two are at war. Cross swords. Those are swords. So they're at war, and by extension, because they are at war with them, it's like those like horrible World War explanations where it's like, well, because so-and-so was allied with so-and-so and so-and-so did this. Because they're at war, they have declared war as well. So Vizimond, way up here, is kind of far away from all of that, and they're kind of out of the direct line of attack, at least for the moment. So this country doesn't have a huge interest in Windermere, but they like anything that causes instability for the Empire because they're at war with them. So they would be very happy if conflict arises in Windermere. I'm sure that'll go very well for them. Clouds and Stuff would be a wonderful name for a magic shop. The two boys urged their horses faster, hoping to escape the torrential rain the late summer brought like clockwork to Windermere. Yeah, okay, so end of 52. Okay, gotcha. That's what I thought. I hope to see the colored version one day as well. Maybe once I have colors kind of nailed down. But yes, so let's set that aside, and then I haven't really sorted out 100% where certain countries that I know for a fact exist are. But for example, if I was, and this is all up to what's the word? What's the subject to change. that's the phrase I was looking for. It's all subject to change. So to give you an idea, loosely, Domingo was originally from this country, So that's where Domingo comes from, and also where Isabel comes from. So they're both from this country, which you can tell is very close to the Empire, but it has not actually been conquered by the Empire. There's a whole bit of story there, but we're not going to get into it. Levi, I think I put somewhere on this continent. I'm not entirely sure. I want to say like this country right here, maybe is where Levi comes from. I'm not entirely sure, but he comes from somewhere down south, shall we say? Oh, come on, don't freeze on me, Sai. Okay, so. Domingo. Levi comes from somewhere over here. Benjamin actually comes from this country over here. And he has made it all the way over to Visiman. But anyway, I don't know 100% off the top of my head if Benjamin, just because I don't think it's super relevant, but I don't know 100% if Benjamin was born in this country. I know that his father is from this country, but I don't know if he was actually born there or if his father and his mother were already traveling. Not really sure. But anyways, that's where Ben's from. Let's see. Shahi, you have not met yet. Shahi is a Volume 2 character. She is from this country. Debare, you have also not met, but he is from this country. Mitra, you have not met. I don't. No, you're going to meet her, but I don't actually know if I'm going to name her in Volume 2. But she's in Volume 2. But Mitra comes from this country, which yes is the country that's at war with the Empire. So I leave you to theorize on why someone who is from this country is all the way up in Vizimund, especially when we've already established that they would be very happy if there's unrest, because that would weaken the Empire. But yes, that's where Mitra's from. Let's see. Who else? Off the top of my head. Levi's from the Puppy Continent. I think black and white colors suits the story pretty good already. I'm glad you like it. I like it visually, but I'm also, and again, this map is largely for my own reference, because as you're reading Immolation, this is way more information than you need to get the context and enjoyment that I'm hoping you get from Immolation. But there's a difference between visually looking good or visually appealing and giving you like a good amount of like context and information. And I think this one errs more on the side of being visually appealing, which is great. I love that. Love that for me. But yes, if I do, I'm still not exactly sure what I'm going to do regarding putting a map in the book, mostly because that's going to be so expensive, and I already pay so much money to get these books created in the first place. And by created, I mean edited by a professional editor, and the audiobooks, which I say if I do more audiobooks. Yes, I'm doing more audiobooks. I literally have a contract with the guy. So, I'm poor. And I only got a 2% raise this year, which is not very much. I was supposed to get 5%. They only gave me 2, but whatever. A map is going to be very expensive. I don't really think that my artistic ability is at the level I would accept for creating a map to go in the book. Which is the same reason that I don't draw my own covers. I use public domain material. God, it'd be so expensive. But yes, I don't know if, theoretically, if I make a map, and when I say I make, I don't mean that I draw it, I mean that I would commission like a map maker to make it. I don't know if I would make a map of Windermere, the city, or a map of the province. Because in Volume 1, obviously a map of the city would be good, so people can kind of get their bearings, because there are a bunch of locations. And we do have more locations in Windermere in Volume 2. So we've got like a handful of locations in Windermere, like in the city proper, in Volume 1, right? We've got, obviously, we have Our Beloved Lady, we have Coldwater Keep, we have the Warbling Wren, we have the hamlets that are outside the city walls, we have Dunryer, blah, blah, blah. We have all these places. We're going to get more places in Volume 2 that are within Windermere, even if they're not like within the city, even if they're in like the countryside surrounding it. But those are two different maps that would need to be at two different scales, and that would be very expensive. So I'm not entirely sure. Bishop's Bride, I think, is going to be a little bit easier because the city of Bishop's Bride doesn't exist anymore. It's been abandoned for, I don't know, like 3,000 years or whatever. Something like that. So the city of Bishop's Bride doesn't exist anymore. It's just ruins. And there isn't that much of the ruins left anyway. And the prison, you don't really need a map of the prison to know that it's a prison. There's like the prison and the mines, basically, which is where they have the prisoners doing their labor. And then the quote-unquote facility that I keep mentioning, which is a terrible word, but you'll understand once you read it. The facility that's up north is like, that's it. That's the only thing up there. So it's not like a city. It's not a village. It's a facility. It's a large building, but like a large complex of buildings. But it's not like a city or anything like that. So you don't really need a map. So I don't know. I have to think about what I want to do for maps. I think it'd be really nice to have a map of Windermere. Let me kind of give you an idea. If I had an unlimited budget, what I would probably do. I don't really care for, like, again, let's pretend that money is no object, right? Just for the sake of fun. And this will be the last thing I do because I'm already at my 45-minute mark and I need to go do a bajillion things today. So what I am not super fond of is a map where you are looking straight down at something. So like you would have the city walls. This is not the shape of the city walls. You would have the city walls, you'd have the rivers, you'd have like landmarks marked out, so on and so forth, roads going through it, blah, 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 right? That's not really the style of map that I want. Again, assuming money is no object, that's probably going to be the most affordable, so if I do a map in the future, that's probably what it's going to be. But that's not, in a perfect world where I have unlimited money, that's not really what I want. What I would prefer is an illustrated, like, what is it called? 1/3? Is that what is, whatever. I'll show you what I mean. What I would like is an illustrated, so like, let's say that like this is the map. What I would like is like an illustrated 3D kind of map, right? So you can see the typography. So you can see like mountains and then so on. You can see like the little plateau that the lady's on. You can see that it goes up further east you go, blah, blah, blah. Because one of the things that I have done a very poor job, at least in my art, because I'm usually in a huge hurry, because I draw really slow and I hate that it slows me down, is I have done a very poor job of conveying the verticality of the province and Windermere itself. So it would be really nice to have something that is illustrated, and you can have like your buildings are really tall, and so on and so forth, and you can have all of your landmarks kind of illustrated. This is really a very, very poor illustration, but hopefully it kind of gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. It's also not remotely to scale. Let's pretend that like that's cold water. That's a very terrible illustration of like what cold water does not even look like, but whatever. So like you have all of these big landmarks, and then you can see like the cathedral over there. You can see like the cliffs, blah blah blah. So something more like that. Something that's more of an illustrated map. And that is because in a perfect world, I would like to be able to get a print of the map and put it on my own wall, because I want that. I just want it for me. So yeah, I don't know. In a perfect world, maybe one day I will be able to get a map commissioned, but most likely it's not going to be a fancy illustrated map. It is going to be like a flat map that just gives you some context for where things are laid out. And hopefully it'll, if that is what eventually ends up happening, it'll still be illustrated and charming, but, it's not going to be a, like, 3D illustrated map. So yeah. But I can't afford that. And I'm not really willing, I guess, to do any kind of, what are they called? Kickstarter, that's what they're called. I'm not willing to do a Kickstarter or something like that. It's not something that I want to do. So if I can't afford it, then it's not going to happen. And I would rather people have the audiobooks than the maps, frankly. So that's where we're at. And that's the way it is until either I get a huge raise or I win the lottery, which are about as equally likely to happen. But yes, that is where I'm going to have to call it today. I have 1,000,001 things I have to do today before work starts tomorrow. So I am going to head out. There we go. I leave you with this silly little map of the world, 99% of which we are not going to explore in Volume 2 or Volume 3, really, of Immolation. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. It was great to chat with you guys, as always. I stream every other Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope you guys can make it. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Have a great rest of your weekend.